history with the IB diploma program. We've had 5 successful graduating cohorts, so you will be our 6th graduating cohort, and every year our group has got bigger and bigger, which I think is testimony that our IB program is growing successfully. Comparing the IB and the A-level program, so to give you some information about that, and of course there will be some time for questions at the end. At any point, jump in if you need clarification. So I'll pass to Miss Emma. She's going to discuss briefly about what our students have done so far. What's our expectation for the future?
Good morning. Okay, I'm Emmy. I don't know if you know me. I'm teaching business and I'm the academic dean. All right. So that's why I'll start with the IB results. This is something we are incredibly proud of. Our first cohort, we had the highest grade was 38. When average actually in the world is around 30-32. So we had in the first cohort 38 points. And later on we started increasing the grades, and last year we got 43 out of 45. Maximum is 45 points. In a while we are going to explain to you how points are being gathered during the exam and the holistic work of the IB. Now, the world passing grade was 88%, and we got 100% passing. The score, the average score, is 33, and we were par with the average score, which was 33. Just to bring to your attention the fact that for the past 2 years, because of pandemic, of course, in 2020 we did not have exams, and the grades were made, let's say, logarithmically in 2020. So some schools, they had some bad results, other schools had a little bit better, etc. Last year, we made sure that we with students, we could visit school and we can be as much here with our students as we can, so they will have the possibility to sit the exam and practically show what they are capable of doing. So this is what last year was really a big achievement. As I said, we got a 43 out of 45. Our students were able to sit for the exam. And this is a student who got 43, Mr. Krishna. He's Indian and he's going to study medicine. He already started, I mean, pre-med. Okay. Now, where do our students went after they completed our school? The thing is that we couldn't, I mean, we cannot have like 3 slides putting universities, so we just put some of the universities that our students were able to join. You can see the University of Manchester, Information Technology Management. This is the student who went to Manchester. And International Relations, we had two students there. Warwick University last year, Delphi in the USA 2 years ago. National Academy of Arts also 2 years ago. The student started bachelor degree here, and after she's going to move to Switzerland for the master's, I believe. She was accepted in Switzerland practically, but she couldn't travel because of COVID. University of Leeds, Eindhoven, Medical University of Sofia. We had 2 years ago a student who went there, and he joined the English, actually, the international program. They study in English there, so sometimes we have parents who are asking us about medicine. This was an interesting choice, by the way. They complete here the first couple of years in University of Sofia, the Medical Institute, all right? And after they can go for specialization anywhere they wish to do. Also Bocconi University last year, and University of Arts London as special management. We had also sports management a couple of years ago. Somebody went to the UK.
I think the important thing to underline here is that the IBDP prepares students for a big range of courses. And because it's not specified like A-levels, and we'll talk later about it, where they may only study 3 or 4 subjects, the pathways remain open. So what our school does is not just prepare people necessarily for the core academic subjects, but we encourage things like fashion design or art, as well as students have applied with sports scholarships and so on. So it's really about finding what are the interests and allowing also the breadth of subjects so that the options stay open for future study.
now on in every presentation for the IB. This is the holistic model of the IB program. There is something that is in the middle, all right? This is called the core, and afterwards you can see that everything is like spherical but mingling together, and you have as a core is how do we teach and how students are accepting the information, and this is something that is called approaches to teaching and learning in the middle. Then we have the core subjects, which is the light blue, extended essay, creativity, activity service, which is CAS, creativity, activity service, and then we have theory of knowledge, which is TOK. Afterwards, we have 6 groups of subjects. Now, the 6 groups of subjects, as you see, are various in order to encompass the various interests and capabilities of students. So we have the arts, we have mathematics, individuals and societies, this is business management, this is the ITGS, IT, okay, information technology. Then we have studies in language and literature, language acquisitions, and the sciences. We have physics, chemistry, biology.
Right in the centre there is the learner profile. And this is one of the benefits, let's say, of studying the IBDP or an International Baccalaureate programme, is that it's about developing attributes in students and giving credit for developing those attributes as well. So you can see that this is one representation of it, one visual that they've created, and there are key attributes that, although we focus on them in the IB programme, in our school we've already been developing those attributes in our what we call the keys to success, which some of you may know, some of you may have heard about, but these are really about the things that we value, that students need in order to be successful, people need to be successful. So this is that they are principled, they are risk takers, knowledgeable of course, but that they are reflective. And a huge part of the IBDP is about being reflective. So these are some of the things that we do in the IBDP that isn't just academics, because I think some people have the initial impression that the IBDP is really about study, 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 and it's not. It's about getting credit for taking part in competitions, developing risk-taking. Here in the bottom were some students going with Miss Borry to make bread in the dark with visually impaired people. And that in itself is such a life-altering experience for young adults, and it's something that you may all have the opportunity to do due to COVID. We didn't for the last 2 years, but now we hope that those sorts of experiences will be opened up again. Also to be inquiring, to be thinking. As a school we have an ethos of thinking-based learning, and in the IB we continue that, and that's why our students are quite well prepared for the programme. These are obviously the facilities that encourage it, lab work, IT, but also going on field trips. And here they were experimenting with some state-of-the-art technology that they use in surgery. So having that practical experience with things. Probably something that I think we do very well in the school, and it's always noted, is our work with the community. So for several years we worked with the Order of Malta, and here some of our high school students, some of you may recognise them, this was when the Pope visited. More recently we had some of our high school students going and doing Easter egg hunts, both in our kindergarten and with our Ukrainian school. And to be honest, these are the things that really either affect students or develop students' different skills. So the learner profile is something that really changes the students over the 2-year course and prepares them. What we're ultimately looking for is preparation for life and preparation for further education. So as well as the learner profile, we obviously have the academic structure of the course, which is outlined here. There are 6 subjects that everyone has to study, 3 of which are at a standard level and 3 of which are at a higher level. Higher level over the 2 years is approximately 240 hours, and standard level is approximately 150 hours. Now, why do we include this now in the presentation? To highlight the importance of attendance. If students are absent too much, those 150 hours and 240 hours can be impacted, and they are needed in order to pass the programme. Miss Emmy already mentioned, and we will keep going over it, this idea of the core, which is our theory of knowledge, which is about critical thinking, our extended essay, which we'll mention later, and about CAS, which is our community service and all of our extracurricular activities. We have to get used to a new grading system. So in IGCSE we have obviously A to E, but here we have grades 7 to 1. So 7 is the highest score. The IB like to keep things a little bit confusing, so actually your TOK, the theory of knowledge, and your extended essay is graded A to E, just to make it a little bit more confusing. And there's a mixture of internal assessments, these are coursework or projects that you do during the 2 years, and external assessment, which are your exams. So again, the nice thing about the IB is that you're not all cramming into those final exams, yeah, which for some students, it's really stressful. I think for all students it's stressful. But the IB actually, 30% of your course is done during the 2 years. In the case of English, 50% of the course is done through written work and orals. So there's that element of, okay, I've already got some credit, I've already got a basis, and I need to go into the exams and do this much. Which I think is a real benefit of the IBDP. So I'll leave Miss Emmy just to mention a little bit more now about the different groups.
Okay. As I told you before, we had studies in language and literature, and group 1 practically this is the language of instruction usually, so most of our students do take English as a language of instruction in group 1. At the same time, we had last year, I mean this year, we do have Bulgarian as a language so-called A. Okay, so they can sit here, they can sit in Bulgarian and in English. I mean, group 2 is also so-called language B, which can be the different languages, and later on we'll have a slide about the different languages, but it's another English as a second language, for example. Okay, so if somebody is sitting group 1, they can have also group 2 as a different language. The point with the languages is that this is something that I believe is the beauty of the IB system, is that they can have 2 different languages, not only 1 language, because in the A levels later on you're going to say that they have only 3 subjects. In these 3 subjects, how many languages can you study? Group 3, individuals and societies. As I said, ITGS and business we are offering, experimental sciences, mathematics, and the arts. Now, when students have to make the choice, and this is where we come handy here for the choice, what subjects to choose? Usually the IB says that you can choose, let's say, the 6 subjects. They can have, from each group, they can have a subject. Okay, so as you see, English, Bulgarian, and Russian. As you can see, Bulgarian and Russian is literature, while the English is language. And after Ms. Naomi is going to explain to you what is the difference between pure literature and language and literature. The group 2 are our foreign languages, so-called French, Spanish, German, English. This is what we offer. And now this year we're including in group 3 also environmental system and society. That's an interesting subject. It can belong to 2 groups. And now here it becomes a sort of what we are going to advise the student to take. Are they going to take the environmental system and society as a group 3 subject, or as a group 4 subject? You can see that it's written there with the biochemistry and physics. Alright, now this is a little bit more complicated, but after when we start meeting with students one-to-one, we're going to explain to them what exactly is each subject and how to make the best decisions. I just want to add here that one of the advantages to study in this school is that we have a sort of small cohort. We know the students very well, and we try to cater for their needs. So whatever is the need of the students, this is what we advise them to take as a subject. Okay, I'm not going to force, let's say, here to take, let's say, Bulgarian if she doesn't want to. All right. We can discuss with her what are the subjects she would like to take, what is the best thing. We want our students to do the best, and that's why most probably we have these high results, because we know them We try to know them better if in case we have some new students who are coming to grade 11, let's say, and we try to fit for them the best fit of subjects. Let's put it this way. Okay, English, Miss Naomi.
So, and I'll just mention again that Group 6 is the optional subject, okay? So you don't have to take visual arts, you take then one more subject from the other groups. So English Langlit, and actually the Group 1 subjects. We study a range of texts in English Langlit. Some of them are literature texts. Now literature texts in the IB can be songs, they can be novels, plays, poetry. But we also study, and what is quite interesting for the students normally, are a range of non-literary texts. And they are your media texts, like magazine articles, newspaper articles, cartoons. And within all these texts, we explore a range of global issues. So we discuss current affairs and what's happening in the world. And all of this is about, developing a big perspective on the world and what's happening. In Bulgarian literature, Miss Bobby here is our teacher, and in Russian literature, they focus only on literature texts. But I know that it's very popular, and students really enjoy both Russian and Bulgarian. It's probably also important to mention that you can take 2 Group 1 subjects. So we have bilingual students, and this is a good option for scoring high. If you are bilingual, perhaps you speak both Bulgarian and English, you can take both of those subjects and not take a Group 2 subject. Or it can be your additional subject. So again, this is where we start talking with students about how we can get the most points and keep the options as wide as possible. But certainly for bilingual students, taking 2 Group 1 subjects is a very good option. In Language B, so Miss Veli is our English Language B teacher. We also have our foreign languages, French, Spanish, German. And in Group 2, there is also the option, perhaps if you have another language that you've studied or would be interested in studying, there is an option of a self-study. And that's again for discussion with the student. And you can see it's arranged through themes again: identity, experiences, human ingenuity, social organisation, sharing the planet. So in Language B, again, we go down this sort of like about society and what's happening. What's important to mention here is that there are 3 levels: higher level and standard level, but also ab initio. Now, to study ab initio, you can't have studied it at IGCSE level. So the IB's language policy is very much about developing language. So you can't take the easy route there. It's about taking something that is going to challenge and develop you. Similarly, if you're a native speaker, you can't take it as a Language B. So that's something that we discuss with students about getting the right level of language. Group 3 is Miss Emmy.
Group 3, now most of our students do take IGCSE Business Studies. So this is, let's say, a continuation of the Business Studies. They go in more depth and breadth of the subject. Now there are a lot of, what is the difference practically? As probably as units, here we have many students and all of them are excellent in business for what I know. So you know already that some of these things you did study. And the difference here comes that in the IB we have a lot of analytical tools which we're using to analyze. Now our approach is the Harvard Business School approach, case studies. So we're going to read the case and we're going to analyze what's happening there. So this is the difference, let's say, between business studies in IGCSE, which is more theoretical. This is a little bit more practical, or at least we're searching for a balance between theory and practice, which prepares excellently for university, by the way. ITGS, which is Information Technology in Global Society. This is not exactly the ITC that you know from grades 9 and 10. This is slightly more, let's say, on the ethical significance of how to use IT in today's world. There is a practical project though, let's say making a website or preparing something that there is a practical, which is 30% of it's a coursework, and they have to develop it throughout the 2 years program. And the rest, it is very theoretical. Okay, so it is not the IT that some people think that it's everything, let's say, programming or work on computer. No, it is a shit. That's why
it's in the social sciences group, so it is
science.
a group 3, it's not a group 4 subject.
Okay, sciences, as I said, you can see some of the goals sciences have. We are offering chemistry, physics, and biology, the 3 sciences. Now here we have to make a, let's say, a good thinking about what a student wants to study in university. Many universities do require 2 sciences. So now you have the time, let's say, to think about it. What do you want to study? Even if you want to study IT in university, some of the IT schools do require 2 sciences. This should be checked with universities. Please, and parents and students, think, where do you want to study, number 1, which country, number 2, what program. So after, when we start the advising, we'll have in mind what to advise you to take as subject. Because definitely, let's say, pre-med should be biology and chemistry. For engineering, might be physics. If somebody wants to study something in the engineering field, especially if the IT diploma is IT engineer, then it has to have physics. So you see, there are many things to think about, which subjects from the sciences to choose. Mathematics. This is what the topics are. Now, lately I found out that many universities started offering Calculus 1 and Calculus 2 as year 1, year 2 in university, no matter what you're going to study. Perhaps the only field that I thought of one day we were discussing, and maybe the only field that students are not taking math in university is if they study philosophy. Psychology, don't you study statistics? I think that you have 1 statistics course, isn't it?
But it's far from
Probably,
maths.
yeah, okay. But also then the other field is psychology, but I thought you studied that. Okay, so anyway, if you want to go study business, Calculus 1 is a math, and statistics. Not talking about the financial courses, okay, which is accounting and finance. And already you saw it in the business courses. So let's say we made 1 field and a half without math. I couldn't think of English. Yes, English. Yeah, if you study some literature, let's say English or Spanish or something, then no math. So math is mandatory, let's say. We didn't say that, but yeah, we do have 2 mandatory subjects. English and math are mandatory. Yeah, they have to take that. Visual arts. Visual arts is very interesting. Probably you saw on our site that every year, because we have a couple of students every year who are graduated with the arts course, and we are having exhibition. The exhibition was last month because this is the time where we have to send the work to the IB. All right. Now, students, the interesting thing is that they have to write. They're completing a portfolio of written work and a portfolio of handwork. I don't know if it is a correct term. Practical work. So they draw or they make sculptures or whatever they enjoy doing.
And I think this is something, as a school, that we're very proud we can offer. We have a very skilled art teacher, Miss Tony, and really the students, even at the beginning of the course, they may not be the best drawers, for example, but she's able to find talents within them to maybe make sculpture or different artistic pieces, a lot of photography. These were some pieces that the students did in the
here
past.
are from our students.
Visual arts is not only for those who can draw. It's really, there is a lot of theory there. They have to create a process portfolio and a comparative study. And it's, I think for students who do study the arts, it is a little bit of academic release for them as well, because they have this creative outlet, which is quite nice. I included this link here so that you can read a little bit more. Of course, you can ask teachers. We plan over the next sort of 6 weeks until the end of the term to talk to the students more about our courses, but in smaller little sessions, probably in assemblies, so that students are able to ask questions and really understand what the courses entail. The core of the IB is, as we've mentioned already, the extended essay, theory of knowledge, and creativity, activity and service, which is abbreviated down to CAS. And in all three of these, there is an element of reflective practice. What do we learn about ourselves? What have we learned about the process? How can we be better? And I think that this is something, we talk about it a lot, that many adults don't have this skill to be reflective about how to improve. So these students are already being equipped with, rather than just describing what they do, saying, how if I did that again, would I do a better job? And that is a really important skill that these three areas really develop. So the first one is TOC, or Theory of Knowledge. Ms. Borry is our TOK teacher. And here we are really questioning our knowledge and making connections between our knowledge. It's a 2 hours a week course, and at the end they create an exhibition and they write an essay. Anything to add about TOK?
TOK, now later on when we have the matrix, I'll talk about it.
CAS, which we've mentioned a little bit already with the learner profile, is somewhere where we really develop the learner profile. This is again 2 hours a week we give to CAS. Students develop different projects based on their interests. So they may go and work in the kindergarten or in first and second grade and teach Bulgarian, we had one year. Or they may develop a sports club or a debating club in the school. They may go outside of school as well and volunteer on a regular basis, perhaps in a shelter or with elderly people, or that if you work in embassies, some students have used this as an opportunity. And we try to provide opportunities within the school to develop CAS, so that can be creativity, that can be activity, and that is service. It might be making crafts for Christmas, it might be
Bake sales.
Bake sales, we love. It might be doing a sporting event, and this one was very nice where we combined the different strands, and our grade 11 students organised a sports day for young adults with different impairments, and they teamed up with the Royal Air Force from the UK, and they did a big sports day, and the two students sort of like ran the event, and the Royal Air Force contributed, and it was something that combined sport, community service, and there was some creativity there. They made posters and so on. So it was a really successful example of a CAS event. And we tie it with the Duke of Edinburgh Award, which I won't go into much detail, but it is an award that gives a lot of credit to the university. The strands align very nicely to CAS, and again, it's another thing that can go onto a CV for university application. So we do offer the Duke of Edinburgh here, and it's something that if students are interested in, they can ask Miss Borry, and I think Miss Petya, she teaches 4th grade, they are responsible for this. We keep talking about preparation for life, preparation for life. Now, the extended essay is something that is preparation for university. I think, you know, this is something that I was an IB student, and doing the extended essay made me a much better university student, because I had already researched, planned, and written a 4,000 word essay. So when I got to university and I got that first assignment, which I think was 2,000 words, I was like, okay, I can do this. But I imagined if I had gone to university and never had to write such an extensive piece of writing that was independently started with the support of a supervisor, it probably would have been a lot more daunting. So this is 4,000 words that they have to write. We start it in the first year, and it's hopefully finished by December of the second year. It can be in any subject that they study in the IB programme. It can be on any topic within that subject. They have a supervisor, who's usually the subject teacher, who then guides them through the process. We have different meetings. We work very closely with Miss Teddy, the librarian, to find different academic sources. They do research, they plan, and then they write a 4,000 word essay that should be correctly cited, with bibliography, with contents page. And at the end, they make a presentation, and you will attend that presentation as grade 10. About the process of it, what did they learn, what would they have done differently, and so on. And this is really developing what Miss Emmy touched upon at the beginning about those approaches to learning. Can we time manage? Yeah, it's difficult, and that's something that we have to learn how to do. So the extended essay is really something I think that students often battle through a little bit, but those who are organised sail through it, but all of them at the end say, look, I've made this extended essay, it's 4,000 words, and it's something that they're very, very proud of and teaches them a lot.
Okay, this is the so-called matrix. Now remember the TOK part of the core. So we have on one side is the extended essay. 42 means that this is one of the highest grades. They still need 3 points. How do they get them? They get them through this matrix. If the student gets a grade A in theory of knowledge and a grade A in extended essay, they'll get +3. So it's 42 plus 3 makes 45, and this is the highest grade that they can score. Anything else you see is 3 and 2, etc. You can cross them. Now, failing conditions for both is an E, grade E. Theory of knowledge essay is maximum 1,600 words, while the extended essay is 4,000 words. Okay, and they start practicing, as we said, and they will consult with us until the work becomes of a good standard.
And actually now most of you have academic writing, I believe, with Mr. Matthew. And that the reason that we introduced that course was to prepare for the extended essay, because we even found like there was a little bit of a need for more preparation for that. So what Mr. Matthew's doing with them is actually some basic research, just writing on something that they're interested in. So the reason that we introduced the academic writing was exactly to support not only the extended essay,
and to develop the skills that are being needed to work on that. Career-related program is a new program for us. It's related to the IB. We became accredited last year. We went into the accreditation process. Now, what is the difference between the CP and the IB diploma program? Now, one is IB DP, and this one is IB CP. As you see, it's career-related. The difference is that here students are a bit more independent. They will still come to school, they will still study certain amount of subjects, certain amount of hours, but at the same time they will have more time to work independently on another written project like the extended essay. And as you see, they will have their, it is written, you can read it, so they will have personal and professional skills, which is 90 hours, service learning, language development, reflective project. Here, interestingly enough, they can, for example, study a language for the first time in their life. If somebody never learned German, they can go register for German and study German, for example, or study Bulgarian, for example, okay? Something, and they'll get with these 50 hours, they'll get a diploma from an institution, or if they decide to study it with us, that they had completed, and whatever is the level of the course completed.
So if anyone's interested in the CP, what I would suggest, because it is a whole nother program, although many of the elements are the same as the DP. As Miss Emmy said, it's about more independent, it's got to focus on practical, vocational work. Then I would suggest just at the end we've included our details just to send an email and we can make some individual presentations or meetings depending on how many are interested.
With more details about this program.
To now we haven't had a request for the CP, obviously we've only had 1 year group where we could have offered it. But for the moment most of our students we're preparing them more for the diploma programme, which has an emphasis, let's say, on the academic side. So Mr. Matthew is the CP coordinator for this. And if anyone's interested, probably that's...
Internal and external assessments. Already Ms. Naomi mentioned that internal assessments are the coursework, like in sciences, for example, this is practical work. And for business, let's say, and for ITGS, I told you ITGS is a project where they make something related to websites and stuff like that. While for business, they will write 2,000 words about an organization, how to solve a problem in an organization. Let's say we have for group 5, which is the maths, they will have exploration, they will talk how math is related to the world around us. So for example, they can talk about architecture, how are different, let's say, buildings, how they are related to nature with some formulas and stuff like that. Okay, this is simply mathematical, but it's very interesting, by the way. Students at the beginning they get scared and they'll be like, oh my God, how am I going to write all this about, let's say, math essay? Nobody heard about that. And once they start researching and they start looking at different examples in the internet, for example, pictures, how they are related to, let's say, the nature, the way colors are mixed and stuff like that, they become incredibly interested in their own work, which is good. We want to develop them, I mean, for university. For languages, you have an essay.
Yeah, we have an essay and an oral, so again, that's nice, you know, for those students who are very confident speakers. It's something we work on for the whole 2-year course, developing confidence. And, you know, we've had students who were extremely shy at the beginning, and then at the end they make this oral, and they feel, yeah, hugely proud of this. So there's a real combination there, but the good thing really is that there is that combination between external and internal assessment. And we give our grade 11 students 3 extra weeks where they work only with the IB teachers. We stay for 2 weeks at the end of grade 11, and we come back a week early. And the purpose of this is really to give the attention to the students, the support that they need to get through the projects, and that individual consultation time when we don't have the distraction of, let's say, other classes that we're teaching. And probably this continues then on with what's the difference between BSS, IBDP, and other schools, maybe in Sofia or in the rest of Europe. The first thing is our range of subjects. We gave a presentation to IB teachers across the world a few weeks ago, and when they heard how many students we have and how many subjects we offer, they were jaws to the ground. They just said, wow, your owner must be hugely dedicated to the IBDP. And we said, she is, because we want students to do well. Yeah, we don't want to force them into subjects that they're not interested in or they're not good at. So that's why we offer the 3 sciences and why we have visual arts, for example, and a range of languages. IB trained staff. So not all schools train all their teachers, but we are all trained as IB teachers minimum, at a level 1, if not a level 2, and a large percentage of us have gone on to be examiners and workshop leaders. Miss Emmy is a workshop leader. So that means we're actually learning from assessing other students' work and delivering workshops as well. We offer IGCSE because it's a good preparation for the IB program. Academically, the subjects that we offer mirror the IB, so we make sure that they have that basis. The fact that we align our CAS program with the Duke of Edinburgh. So some students in grade 9 and 10 may have already done the Duke of Edinburgh, and then they already have interest that they can carry on through the CAS program. Small groups with an individual approach. Miss Emmy touched on this already. We're lucky. Some subjects we have 3 or 4 students, especially in the languages, and this means really, I mean, Miss Bobby, she has 4 students and allows for a personal approach. Allowing students to get those excellent results in this very, very competitive world. They need to be at that top level. And we made the decision to be IB only. There are schools that offer also Bulgarian curriculum alongside the IB, but you can see how much goes into the IB. Offering another program alongside that is going to be hugely demanding for students, and very often at the detriment of one of the programs. So, on the basis of this cohort who started mentioning A-levels, we wanted to give some information about what really are the differences. So A-levels, you study a smaller range of subjects, 3 or 4. IB, a wider range. Often that wider range is needed for certain courses. You need 2 sciences. You may need math, but you might not be as good at math as needed for A-level. So you can take it as a standard level subject in the IB and you still meet the requirement of the university. Both of them are 2 years. Both of them have exams at the end, but the IB has a holistic approach, having those 6 subjects. The IB includes and gives credit for all these additional things. Many A-level programs have actually, when we were looking, included something like CAS, included something like the extended essay, in order for students to develop those skills because they recognise that students need them. But the good thing about the IB is it's all included and it's all integrated. A-levels has a focus on knowledge, IB has a focus on skills, practical work, research, critical thinking. And as we mentioned, that slightly narrower scope. Many students don't know what they want to do or change what they want to do within that 2-year period. And if you've already decided you're going to do 3 sciences, you automatically rule out quite a lot of courses.
If I may add one thing, when somebody studies A-levels, usually top universities are accepting students, because it is very competitive, of course. They are going to be accepted either with 3 A's in the 3 subjects that they are studying, or max A, B, B, while, okay, A and B, B in the other 2 subjects. While in the IB, universities usually, let's say starting with Concordia accepts in some departments 28 points, in others, let's say technical or medicine or something like that, 32. So it is slightly lower than the 3 A's, you see. And of course, going up, minimum in others is 38. McGill, for example, is 38. Many UK universities also, they require 36 and above, or 38 and above. That's why I told you, think about which country and which universities you want, so we can gather the information about subjects. And this was an interesting graph, actually, we found about the comparison.
Yep.
Okay.
So it was about that idea of preparation and what did universities find. Now in blue is the IB and in pinky red is the A-levels, and it was about how universities felt and admissions felt students were prepared for university, and those things like developing intercultural skills, developing self-management skills, encouraging a global outlook, nurturing an open mind, and how much more prepared they were when they studied the IBDP. So we just included that there because we thought it was really interesting, and you can have a little look at it when we send the presentation. Okay, just a few more slides. This one is about academic honesty, so something that's really important in the IB program and in our whole school. As you can see, we very much try to align our school according to the IBDP and the values that it has. And academic honesty is something that we've stressed with this academic writing course, but also down in lower grades that giving credit for other people's work. So that means correct citations and referencing, but also about the reliability of what they're reading, fake news. So academic honesty is something that the IB has its own policy for. We have our adapted policy on academic honesty, and it is something very serious, that all work must be that of the students. So actually at the beginning of the course we all physically sign that policy to say that whatever we do, we will be acknowledging the work of other people. University guidance we also offer, and Miss Elena here is our school counsellor, but also works closely with the students. Do you want to mention a few things, Elena?
Okay, it's nice to see you. Well, I'll be actually one of the people, except for their teachers, who will be helping the students whenever it comes to university choices. They can come to have individual sessions to talk about how I can help them, which subjects are required, also with the part of connecting to the university, because from my experience so far, students have a hard time, or maybe not a hard time, but find it challenging to reach out to the university to ask the specific questions about the requirements. I think Ms. Emi already mentioned it a few times, but I also want to put an emphasis on that. It's a good time to start planning right now, because you're going to pick the choices for subjects, but then maybe some of you already have the clear idea of what you want to study in the future, or maybe some of you have a slight idea or a few. So it's a good thing to discuss that either with your parents, with some of the teachers, or with me.